Please don't do this under any circumstances if you want to keep your bestsellers out of the graveyard and going strong. I have bestseller listings in my shop. In fact, I have a bunch of them. But over the last 3 years, I have also had many bestsellers die off. And no one wants to have a funeral for their best-selling listings. In this video, I'm going to tell you the 7 things that I avoid so I can keep my best-selling listings around as long as possible. And I don't know why I worded it like that, because I always want my bestsellers to last as long as possible. The first one we're going to cover today is actually how I ruined my very first bestseller. I just didn't know any better, and that is making tweaks to your SEO or your first mock-up photo, that main image that you've chosen to be your first mock-up photo. If you have a bestseller, then you should not be making changes to these 2 things. These are the 2 things that helped you get that bestseller. Now, you might be on the other side of the screen right now thinking, oh my gosh, Shauna, why on earth would you have done that? Well, once I got my first bestseller badge, I was super excited, but then the copycat started. And I saw a decrease in my sales as a result. It was still a bestseller and it was still selling well. But I started perseverating on this concept of, oh my gosh, other people are making my exact design and now I'm losing sales. So I'll tell you what I should have done in just a second. But first I'll tell you what I did, because this is what you do not want to do. I went in and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, people are making my exact design and they're putting it on a similar mock-up to me. So I'm going to try to stand out. I'm going to go in and I'm going to change my mock-up photo. I did leave my SEO alone. I didn't mess with that, but I changed my main mock-up photo. I had a flat lay and I changed it for a model mock-up, thinking, oh, well, no one's using this. And now I'll stand out again with my unique design. That was a terrible idea. And very shortly after that, the sales plummeted. To this day, I still have that listing in my shop. It sells very, very rarely. It is really unfortunate because I believe it would still sell quite well today if I had not done that. Now, what I should have done, instead of perseverating on this and going back in and trying to mess with this listing, I should have left it alone. It was doing what it should be doing. And I should have been doubling down on that niche and that type of design, adding different variations, using the same mock-up photo that was working well for me and just pumping out more. That's what I should have done. Number 2, and this isn't really something that you can avoid, but it's good to be aware of it so you're not freaking out about it and you can focus your attention on making more bestsellers rather than trying to fix something that you don't need to fix. It might just be out of season. So let's say, all my Christmas stuff, I'm filming this in late June. So all my Christmas stuff, I just went back in to make sure I'm starting to run ads on those things again. And all of my beautiful bestsellers from last Christmas are no longer bestsellers. But that's just because people aren't, coming in droves to buy Christmas stuff yet. I do suggest getting your Christmas stuff out there. If you're listening to this video in late June or July, get your Christmas stuff back out there. If you have it sitting in the deactivated section or the expired section of your shop, I would start getting it back out there because I am selling some Christmas stuff. So I'm going to start adding to my Christmas stuff actively in July. So just quick off-topic side note there. So if you are just out of season for that listing, don't feel like you've done something wrong or that you need to change anything that you're doing. You just have to wait for that season to come back. And many times your best sellers will come back also. Except when they don't, because sometimes they don't. And in that case, you should be doubling down on anything that was working for you last year. That way you're keeping up with whatever is trending this year. You're looking at whatever elements are going well with designs and new phrases that are popping up that are really popular. Make sure that you check uspto.gov and that you're not doing anything that is trademarked. But you do always want to make sure you're adding to whatever it was that was working. So even if that old one doesn't come back and be a bestseller for you, that's giving you a chance to still have new bestsellers that are kind of born from your idea from that old bestseller as you develop new designs based off your information, of how that listing did in your shop last year. Number 3, and I just recently killed an amazing listing that made me thousands and thousands of dollars last year. I killed it because I did what I'm about to share with you right now. The season is over. And so you don't sell that. You don't sell from that listing for a while. And it expires after 4 months of no one purchasing it. And then season comes back. But at this point, you are an Etsy seller and you are listing like a fiend because you're doing POD and you know that you've got to get lots of quality listings in your shop. And so now you've got a lot of listings and you've kind of forgot to go back and check when season was coming back. For me, it was a teacher item, end of year, an end of school teacher item, a shirt that you'd wear the last day of school. Quick side note here. If you are thinking that you do not want to do shirts that people can only wear one time, because it took me a while to get into last day of school shirts, because it was really, they're like really shirts you're going to wear, the teacher's going to wear one time. I dragged my feet on that, and that was a mistake. When people are wearing something for a memorable day, graduation day or their birthday or the last day of school or the first day of school, there are a ton of different important days that the person is only going to wear that shirt once. And these shirts can sell really well. If you're looking for other teacher type of ideas, I have an entire resource with tons of ideas in it and listing dates. So you know exactly when to list and exactly the window, the prime window of getting your things listed, so that you have the best chance of having things catch and rise as the views on these types of things start cranking up in Etsy. Okay, I know I'm off topic, so back onto topic. I killed my bestseller because the last day of school, that period of time came back, which was on my calendar and I use it all the time. So I was pumping out new designs for the last day of school. But I forgot to go back into my expired folder and relaunch anything that had expired from last year. And when I finally realized what I had done, because I saw a lot of copycat listings selling well, and it was making me annoyed, even though I know better not to focus on that and just to focus on the new designs I'm making, it was annoying me. So I went into my shop and I looked at my old listing, why isn't it selling at all? It should be, even though there's competition for this type of design now, and some people copied it pretty much exact, it should still be selling because I was on top. I was the first one with it out. And then I found it in my expired folder. And that, my heart dropped because that stank. That messed up the revenue that I should have been making this, during that period of time, during April and May when these shirts are really selling well. So I did relaunch the shirt, but it was too late. The other shirts that were already out there and doing well for the season that were like my design, they had already kind of moved up in ranking while mine had been staying stagnant over in my expired folder, and it never got cooking up again. Had I remembered to go back in, let's say, February or March and relaunch it, I probably would have done it in February just to make sure it was out there and ready. Then that listing would have done well for me. So make sure that you're going into your expired folder maybe every month and thinking about what's coming up, the niches that are coming up that you do well in for that period of the year, the holiday that's coming up. Or for me, it was, not a holiday, but I knew that one of my big things for teachers is the end of school. So I should have been going into that expired folder and relaunching those. Number 4, another reason your bestseller could be dying a slow death or a fast death is that someone else made a better version of your design. So this has happened to me a bunch of times after I kind of got good at adding value to the market and doing something kind of different than what everyone else was doing. If you need help with that, I'll leave an entire playlist down below that walks you through my process with that. How I take something and really make it different. You don't have to come up with this really unique, different idea from total scratch. You can use one idea in a niche and bring it to another niche where no one's doing it yet. But I'll leave that playlist link down below if you want to dig into that. Once I got good at that, I was doing it a lot because then I was oh my gosh, I'm getting sales through these types of listings. A much bigger percentage of those listings were bringing me sales. So it was very rewarding. So I really leaned in to building that skill and really making lots of listings like that. However, I kind of just didn't work as hard on those designs because I was like, oh my gosh, this is a really good idea. I'm going to just do it simple. I'm not going to work all that hard on the design because I know that I'm coming at this from such a unique angle. People are going to buy it. I'm not going to spend so much time working out, this really stellar design. And simple does sell, so that's okay to make simple things, but I knew that I was kind of taking the easy road with most of these designs, and they would sell and they would get started pretty fast. But then once they became a bestseller and everyone was like, oh, I'm going to double down on this idea that's selling, which is okay. People are just reading the market, and they made better versions of it than me. So what I should have been doing is, okay, I made the simple design. I got it out there. It's selling. Well, I should have doubled down on that. And I should have then gone, okay, well, now I'm going to spend a little more time. I'm going to do these phrases up like this, or I'm going to add these elements now because I see that this is also trending in the market. So if you're doing a simple design and it starts selling, maybe take some time to rework that out and do some more complex designs that are still based on market research, but be willing to spend some time developing your idea and creating even better designs. Double down on your idea before everyone else doubles down on your idea. Number 5, another reason our bestsellers wind up in bestseller graveyard is because we don't have anything else in that niche. Now, sometimes adding new things to the niche that you're getting a bestseller in doesn't necessarily make your bestseller last longer, but it gives you more power of having more bestsellers and kind of working up a fire in that niche and really making it a huge moneymaker in your shop. So let's go back to that example I gave you, the very first one. I said I had this design, my very first bestseller, and I went in and I tweaked the main image, the main photo, and I killed that bestseller. I wish I had not done that. I also, though, did do a very good thing. After I was done perseverating on this and ruining my bestseller, I then said, okay, well, I'm going to hit this from every angle I can think of. I did lots of market research. I was looking at other designs in this niche and other designs in other complementary niches to this niche. So an example of a complementary niche, like if I'm designing in the teacher niche, I might also look at mom shirts because that's like a complementary niche. A lot of teachers are moms, they're ladies. A lot of these designs I can pull elements from a mom shirt that will also go well with a teacher shirt. So I did double down here and really exploded my shop. I've got several hundred designs in my shop now. This was about 3 years ago that I got this bestseller, and it's a niche that I've just regularly added to. And I remember I used to be a 4th grade teacher. I was coming up to summer break. It was like maybe the month of May when I got this first bestseller of mine in my shop. It was like 6 or 7 months into my Etsy journey. And that summer, I just really spent a lot of time making a lot of designs in this niche. So I did lose that bestseller, that original bestseller that I believe would still continue to sell well for me now. But I make a lot of money in that niche because I just exploded my shop with that niche that had a bestseller in it. And any place that I get a bestseller, I'm just going to make that one of my niches. Like that's one that I'm trying to crank out designs in that niche every week so that I have always new things coming in to my shop that are based on trending market research, stuff that's selling well right now. And that really builds your shop up to being able to make a lot of revenue and being able to have a lot of bestsellers just get built up in your shop and take off. I have said double down in this video a bunch of times. If you don't know what I mean by double down, if that's the first time you've heard this phrase used, I use it all the time, I will leave a video that I did down below that is all about what I mean when I say double down. Number 6, another reason our bestsellers die is because it was copied up the wazoo and we didn't double down on it. So this kind of takes a couple of the other points I've already made and pulls them together. But I think it's worth mentioning here because not necessarily did someone make a better version of it. It's just been copied up the wazoo. I've got examples of this in my shop. My friend Laneta also has a very crazy example of this in her shop this year. If you want to follow my friend Leneda's journey, we made another channel called No Friend Left Behind, where several of my friends who have Etsy shops are sharing their journeys. I'll leave that link down below if that's something you'd be interested in. I'll also leave a link down below to an interview I did with Leneda if you want to know more about her story. Her first bestseller happened last March, and we couldn't have been more excited about that bestseller taking off. And she brought something to a particular niche that was different. We borrowed it from another niche and we said, oh, well, this element does really well, but no one's using it like this yet in this specific niche. So she did that and it just blew up immediately. Even though she had at the time her shop was quite small with not a ton of sales in it at all. I think it was like less than 100 sales. Even so, people found, it did so well that people found this listing and they were copying it verbatim. It looked like they were taking her exact mock-ups right out of her shop or downloading the images right from her listings with some kind of special, editing software. So of course that was frustrating for her. She actually kept her bestsellers, and we did do a line of attack of certain things we did in her shop to help her keep her bestsellers. We'll look back to that at the end of this video. If we have a minute, I'll share with you what those strategies were. But one of those things that we did was she started doubling down. So I was like, okay, you need to do this design in different colors. You need to do this design up on different color shirts. You need to take this design into complementary niches and be the first one to offer this type of look over in these complementary niches. So to this day, she still has them as bestsellers. And a lot of those new designs she put out are also bestsellers. Some of the traction she had on those original bestsellers did die down because so many new bestsellers came out where people were, copying her up the wazoo. But it's just part of life. And this is something that you can do to help keep your bestseller status. Double down on any bestseller that you're having so that in hopes of keeping that bestseller, but also making new bestsellers born from it. Number 7, trends might just be changing. So your style on that design just might not be as popular as it was when it got its, bestseller status. So this kind of overlaps because some of these tips kind of overlap with this one. We go back, all roads lead back to doubling down. So if you are doubling down over time on your bestsellers, you're going to be creating those new bestsellers that are going to take the place of your old bestsellers as they are less trendy at some point. But now you are continuing to have an output of designs in your shop that are in a trending style in that niche. So it really is so important if you want to keep your bestsellers and grow new bestsellers that you are adding to that niche over time and doubling down on your ideas, bringing in those new trends, bringing in those new looks, developing your idea into a better design before someone else finds it and doubles down on your design and makes a better version of it. I did mention earlier that if you have someone that is either copying your designs or is being copied up the wazoo, there's something you could do about that. There's actually a couple of strategies that we can have in our arsenal of defense. And you can pull all of these things out as your line of attack. But you know what? It's better if we just go ahead and chat about that in this video that I'm going to leave here. But before I send you over there or in this video with a tip from Tucker, I am going to quickly share something with you that I might wind up editing out of this because I'm really, really annoyed right now as I'm sharing this. A subscriber just recently messaged me. I saw it while I was filming and they said, hey, Shauna, do you have some coaching that I can take? I need extra help. And so I messaged back, I am launching a membership. If you're interested in that, I will leave a link down below to an email list. So that's the way I will give you more information about that. Right now, it's only going to be by email list. I'll make it more accessible later. I'll leave that link down below. So I mentioned that to the subscriber and then they messaged me back and they said, okay, great. I definitely want to sign up for that. Want more information about that membership. But I think you should know someone has your profile on Instagram and is selling services under your name. I am not on Instagram. I am not on anything but YouTube right now. Maybe I'll add that later. But as of right now, I'm not on anything else. And I have to look a little more into this, and I'll be putting out another video about this specifically, because going along with talking about copycats and how frustrating that is for our shops, this is times 10 for me, frustrating, because someone is under my name now exploiting people that are people I care about. I'm looking at there's 300, I think 50 people that are now following this Instagram account, and I'm recognizing some of the accounts because these are people that leave me comments and on YouTube, and so now they're following this account and possibly buying some fake material that someone's making under my name that does not have the love and care of the materials that I make, that I stamp my name on. And that's all I'm going to say about it right now. Just know that if you have seen me on Instagram, I don't have an Instagram. So you are not following me. You are not buying materials that I have created. You are not getting support from me if you've asked that person any questions. If you are interested in more support from me, then please sign up for that membership or leave me a comment here. I try to answer my comments, and I answer lots of questions just right here in the YouTube comments. Okay, I feel like I got the word on that out. So catch me in that next video if you want to know more about what to do when someone's copycatting you on Etsy. But of course, not until after that tip from Tucker. So Tucker, take it away.